Finally, the introduction to uneven grip training. So I was supposed to upload this about 2 weeks ago, but every time I go to do the narration, I end up doing something different and focusing on something different in the gym that day, and I'm obsessed with like the new thing because I'm like, ooh, look, something new that I haven't done before, and instead I focus on that because I have ADHD. So anyway, my life is basically like walking down the street, finding a shiny penny and being like, ooh, look, a shiny penny, then forgetting about everything I had to do that day. So right now I am working on uneven grips, and I love them because they basically turn everything into a human flag. And you might be thinking, hey, scatterbrain doofus, I don't know if you know this, but you're not in a human flag. And to that I would say, yeah, my body isn't, but my arms are. So anyway, let's go over this. I would recommend that you can first do archer push-ups before doing this. I'm focusing on keeping my body square. That would make this an excellent progression for doing a one-arm push-up in which you keep your body square, which would be the ideal. And at the top, just so you know, I am rotating my body slightly so that I can protract my scapula, and when my elbows are locked and my arms are straight, that my shoulders are in a healthy, perfect position. And obviously, since I am in an uneven grip, my body will have to rotate slightly at the top. Now I'm doing the uneven sits. So I'm doing a V-sit, side L-sit, forward L-sit, and straddle. If you notice the false grip I'm using on top of the equalizer, I'm resting my forearm and my wrist on there. This will be essential if you start doing flows, uneven flows on the rings. So definitely get used to that. And just something to note, I love the uneven sit training because they are brutal on the straight arm. Just make sure you're never shrugging that shoulder. Get ready, your triceps gonna hurt when you do those. So these are mantle pull-ups. So mantle is anytime you set the rings at different heights. So strive to set the rings at a height so that your body looks like my body looked there. It would be a good idea to work on archer pull-ups before this, but just note, just pay attention to how my body works during the pull. So I'm going to start in the beginning, all the way down here in this position. I start by pulling my scapula, and now what I'm going to do is I'm always looking at the pull arm. And as I rise, I rotate that ring so that it's in a chin up at the top, and I look through the ring, and then I'm always looking at the arm that is pulling during the rise and the descent. So now these are mantle dips. Again, the rings are hung at different heights because that's what a mantle implies, that the rings are hung at different heights. So I'm hanging at a height so that at the bottom, my my chest touches the top of the pressing ring, and that my arm is fully locked out in that false grip and turned backwards. So this is very brutal on the shoulders and the elbows, so be very careful with this one and stay safe. That said, not only is this a great strength builder for that dip arm and brutal on the body requirements, the way that I control my body during this movement, but this is really great for Hephaesto training as well. This feels a lot like a great progression for kind of just like, just doing a Hephaesto negative. So rather than diving right into Hephaesto negatives, you might want to work on something like this first. I find it to be a bit safer. Just again, be very cautious on the shoulders and elbows on this one. So now I'm setting up for uneven pike presses. These are really, really difficult. So just to give you a warning, yeah, I mean, these are way more difficult than a handstand push-up in my opinion. So just really use these. This is just a different way to start building up that strength. I'm doing these primarily to focus on my flag archers. So this is around the difficulty of doing an archer press in the human flag. So that's what the benefit I'm looking for from these. So notice how I set my body. I am using a false grip on this, and just look at my shoulder alignment. So I'm always changing my shoulder alignment throughout this. And again, if you have any questions about this, just go back and look at archer presses in the human flag. It looks almost identical. So now I'm going to start going over the slow motion version. So pay attention to the hand here. Everything here is in half speed. So I'm not using a false grip here. I'm just going all the way down so that I'm at full depth of the push-up and that my arm is locked out without the false grip. So notice now here, see how I shifted my body a little? Just use that little bit of a hip shift when you do this so that you don't fall and you don't like wobble. My feet are together because again, the main focus of these archer push-ups, these uneven push-ups is to work on a square body. They're a great progressive movement to work on perfectly square one-arm push-ups. So again, notice I'm never shrugging my shoulder here during the uneven sit. Never, ever, ever allow that shoulder to shrug. That is the key. Keep that arm locked out. Your tricep is going to hate you at first, and then it's going to thank you for making it so much stronger. Now notice how I extend my arms here. Pay attention to the arms. Pay attention to the changes in my hands. Notice I rotate the top arm. Notice that bottom arm stays in the false grip and is always supinated, is always ring out. When you're on the rings, most of your skills will be done with the rings turned out. Strive for this arm movement at the bottom. Really elevate that scapula. Get your shoulders healthy. Now for the uneven dips, pay attention to the top arm. It stays in the false grip. Pay attention to the bottom arm. That also rotates. Notice the supination. Notice I turn the ring out at the top of the movement and I rotate it in at the bottom of the movement. Hand and grip rotations are so important. So now for the pike presses, I'm using a false grip on the equalizer and a regular neutral grip on the parallel. Notice how the false grip, my hand does not rotate around the equalizer, and also just pay attention to the shoulders. I am using ballet toes in this. You might struggle with that. Anyway, I highly recommend the use of ballet toes to keep yourself honest and actually be using a real working weight. And anyway, this is just a bonus archer challenge. If you're pretty advanced, which you probably are a little advanced if you're working on the uneven training, here's a great archer challenge. So I'm doing archer push-ups, then I'm going to do archer pull-ups, and I'm going to switch to typewriter variations of each. Like I said, any day now, unless I stumble across something else that makes me lose my focus, I'll be uploading hand placements, how to set up, and just the different balance requirements, hand placement requirements, shoulder alignments, everything for uneven handstand work. There's a lot of different setups you can use for uneven handstands, and they all hit the body differently and have different requirements. I really enjoy wide handstand anything. I'm just going to throw that out there. I really recommend you start, gradually widening your grip in handstands. In the beginning, it's really difficult, but something about once you get used to it and you feel the balance, it's really weird how it almost locks you into the balance. I find the balance on wide handstands to be, even though it takes more strength and it's a little more difficult, I find once you understand the secret, it is magnificent. So anyway, make everything a human flag. Love you.